right, welcome into another episode of the Captain and Madden Show. Coming to you on a Wednesday, a little bit early this week. Some scheduling had to be done, and we decided to just put our episode out a little bit earlier. Mike Madden here on my side of things. The Captain, Michael Corby, on his side of things. Captain, how are you on this surprise Wednesday episode?
Happy hump day there, Mike.
Wasn't that was it a Geico commercial?
Yeah.
And you know who still does that, by the way, that still like remembers that commercial and like every Wednesday on Good Morning America has to like still do the Mike thing?
Is it the toothless the
yeah.
Gap?
Yeah, exactly. Strahan. Oh, corny Strahan. That ad was like 15 years ago.
But you know what? Every time he brings up the ad and does the Mike, it's hump day.
Hump day.
You get angry, and you forget the fact that he drilled a hole in his house and was spying on his fiance's sister. Who had stayed with the Strahans because she was running away from an abusive boyfriend. So Mike was nice enough to basically put a peephole in her room so he could spy on her while she, got naked and stuff. Yeah, that guy's on Good Morning America. So
what a knight in shining armor he is.
Yeah.
Remember that, America, when you wake up in the morning and he's making jokes and then telling you about deals and steals and how great the new Twilight book is going to be or whatever bullshit that they talk about.
And when he tries to convince you that he's a huge Bon Jovi fan.
Yeah, seriously. Fucking lost Michael Strahan. Let's do the hell episode. Let's just roast Michael Strahan on this episode. Forget the mystery is this is a roast of Michael Strahan episode.
Yeah. The only problem is he's not here, and me and you are the only one on the dais.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's yelling in an empty room about how much Michael Strahan stinks. But yeah, we were dubbing this on our little preview and letting you guys know that we're recording early, and we're dubbing this a mystery episode. We want to build a little bit of suspense into what we're doing here for this episode, but we can finally start to reveal what our intentions are in a little bit. So the whole concept of the mystery episode is I think we do a good enough job like promoting the episodes and kind of giving a little bit of a, hey, before you click and listen, like here's a, kind of an idea as to what we've got going on. And I think we just, knowing that we're a little bit out of schedule, throwing a little bit of suspense behind it probably makes you, the listeners, a little bit curious as to what we've concocted. But in essence, Captain and I are just sort of like kicking around we want to talk NBA, and we want to talk the glory days of the NBA in our brain. And you brought it up specifically that you thought that probably it's like the year 1992, right? Like
it's an
pivotal.
Interesting year. It's an interesting year in basketball. Just because it's like there's a lot of like moments where you passing of the torch type. Mm-hmm. In my humble opinion, and it's been kind of documented, the NBA was kind of like a dead league, late 70s into early 80s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot of like I've heard stories of like championship series games were put on tape delay.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is like crazy to think about, like where we're now, if you put yourself in today's, 2026 NBA, you're getting hit and left with like ESPN has games, NBC now all of a sudden has games again.
Yeah.
ABC's associate with ESPN, so like they have games on Sundays.
Yeah.
Now you can watch games on Peacock. They brought back the nostalgia of the late 80s, early 90s, having it on NBC. So I was thinking that like that 92 is a very interesting year because Bird and Magic are kind of credited. I mean, there are other guys that are around this, but of saving the NBA, like,
oh yeah, yeah.
It happened that they were, I think Bird was, Magic was a first round pick first, and then Bird was the next year, or vice versa. I always forget. They went to heated rivals, the Lakers and the Celtics. So then it just so happened they start meeting in the finals. Those games became, must-see TV, and it kind of spurred back, oh yeah, NBA is a thing. Like, it's not just college. And games started to be, Saturday afternoon CBS games. The finals were actually, playoffs and finals were shown live, not on tape delay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Then in the midst of Bird and Magic, you have Jordan come along and the greatness of him. And of course, anytime you have, whether it's in sport, we talk sports and music and movies. And the one common thing is that, like, when you have somebody who's like really hot, like really that draws a lot of attention, a lot of the times it also brings focus to other players. So that's what was kind of happening. Like, as much as Bird and Magic got the majority of headlines, and then when Jordan, especially when he became Air Jordan, it also shone a light on some other guys that were really good players at that time. So the 1992 NBA All-Star Game, to me, is a very interesting time. Bird's on his way out of the league. Magic had already announced that, he was HIV positive, which amazingly, like 30 some odd years later, he's still here with us.
Yeah. Right.
Jordan was in the midst of like his run with winning championships, and he's about to, I think it's the next year, he starts where he semi-retires and starts playing baseball.
Right.
With the,
Birmingham Barons.
Some say it had to do, with the tragedy of his father passing, that it kind of spurred this thing. There's always these rumors that like he had a gambling issue and that basically he was told to get away for a little while, but that's just rumor, it's speculation. I mean, people like to run with that type of stuff. He did have a gambling problem, but whether or not that led to, the reason why his father was unfortunately murdered, no one's ever proved that. So, I just kind of think like with all of that going on at one time, that's right in our wheelhouse. That's late 80s, early 90s. That's the basketball me and you watched growing up.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe like, you take that 92 NBA All-Star Game roster and maybe we just make like if we're going to pick a team, like,
yeah, let's go through
who's going to be on the team.
Yeah, let's go through some of the guys
out of the East and West. If you're going to make one team, let's see who it is.
All right, like it's kind of give them a bit of a glow up, as the kids say. Yes. We'll glaze a few of these NBA legends.
And obviously, some of them are legends. And then, as the kids like to say, there's some players that were very good players that we like to, we like to give them their flowers.
Yes, flowers are important. So one guy, when you say 92, I think this is the year that a lot of people started to take note of Scottie Pippen.
Unfortunately, yes.
Right, and the Bulls were a wagon. They were in the middle of what was their. They had just come off their first NBA championship or second NBA championship, like the year before that. So they're hot. They're dominated by Jordan, and Jordan's the centerpiece of the team and the media attention and the marketing and the shoe deals and everything. But Pippen is he's the sidekick, more or less, but he's like having an incredible year. He's obviously, as we mentioned, all these guys are all-stars. And I think, for a good run there, and even when Jordan came back, a few years down the road, once he went into that sabbatical, Pippen only got more sort of dyed in the wool in Chicago. And I think like 91 and 92 are probably his like coming out seasons where you really have a lot of people paying attention to him. He's really playing at like an elite level, and it's really like it's a testament to the chemistry that he had with Jordan, with honestly with a lot of other guys on that team as well. But I think Scotty had his coming out party, right around that. And from what I'm looking at, NBA All-Star, 7-time, was an All-Star in 1990, 92 through 97 consecutively. So yeah, I mean, that's really his second time is like his second time as an All-Star. Like it certainly is more solidified and more earned. So I would nominate Scottie Pippen for a spot as a ultimate All-Star. We'll call these guys the ultimate All-Stars.
I think you have to give some credit to Phil Jackson, who, Pippen was obviously had a few years there in Chicago before under other different coaches. I think Jackson was able to see some of the talents that Pippen, he had. It wasn't on the par of Jordan, but he did have, pretty good ball skills for a bigger man. He was a small forward. So there were times where, Pippen is kind of credited as, the point forward position that like some other guys, but later on kind of inherited. But, he played solid defense.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he was a defensive player of the year. Or one, he was a member of the all defensive team starting 92 was one of those seasons. So
I have a hard time kind of forgetting sometimes though when Jordan wasn't around, especially I believe it was the 94 series against the Knicks where they drew up a play. Bulls were down by a basket. They had a last second shot. They drew up a play and the ball went to Kukoc instead of to Pippen.
Oh, okay.
And he pouted and said that he wasn't going to go in. Ultimately, they did win the game. I think Kukoc hit the shot, but the Bulls went on to lose the series and the Knicks go to the finals. But yeah, he had some weird like history of like having migraines like in the playoffs and missed some games here or there. Mm-hmm. Obviously, when they win, 6 world championships, it's easy to kind of poke at the times where Pippen wasn't Pippen.
Yeah.
He wasn't he wasn't Robin to Jordan's Batman, but but he's a solid player. I would never put him in my starting 5 or anything, but that's just me.
Of course.
I'm not a full Scottie Pippen guy. So,
well, like I said, I think
a lot of the reasons was documented in that the Netflix documentary,
the Last Dance.
Yeah. Dance, yeah. Pippen does not come out very. Spoiler alert on a 5-year.
If you haven't seen it by now.
Yeah, they don't really shine a bright spotlight on him.
I guess not. All right. So who do you got? Who's the first guy that you think of that you want to talk about?
Well, obviously,
next
you
guy,
have the big. You have like the big 3 guys, right? You have Jordan, you got Bird, and you got Magic. Guy that I thought was a solid NBA player. I believe might be in the Hall of Fame. He was definitely an All-Star during the 80s and 90s. Was Clyde Drexler from the Portland? Oh yeah. Portland Trailblazers.
Clyde the Glide.
I think he was a flashy player. He was probably between like 20, 25 points average a game during his career. He just kind of got overshadowed by Jordan. The rumor or the stories that come out, of course, is Portland has the number 2 pick in the draft. The year Jordan comes out, 83 or 84. The general manager at the time says, well, we already have a scoring guard with Clyde Drexler, so we're going to draft Sam Bowie. So they draft Sam Bowie second, and then the Bulls take Jordan.
Yeah.
And everybody's kind of like, what are you, crazy? But Drexler was a solid player, and he used to put on, a show when he got the chance to dunk.
Oh.
And I think he did. I think he did a couple of dunk contests and stuff.
Absolutely.
The problem with Clyde Drexler was he wasn't Michael Jordan. And because of the fact of the story was that Portland didn't draft Jordan because they had Clyde Drexler, and he never lived up to Jordan's, greatness. I kind of feel sometimes is a little bit unfair. He was a very solid player. Portland, I mean, they had their chances. They went to a couple of finals. I think they lost to Detroit one year. They lost to the Bulls. So it wasn't like they they stuck with Drexler and then draft Sam Bowie or whatever. And Portland went into this tailspin and never won anything. They were a solid team through the 80s and 90s. I think he ended up going to Houston later on in his career.
Sure did. Yeah. Yeah.
I think he played with some other cats that we may mention. I think he might have played when Pippen went there.
Yeah, he did. Sure, yeah, I think Pippen was there in 98, and that was the last year that Drexler was in the league. 92, the Trailblazers were in the finals against the Bulls.
Yes.
And here's the thing about Drexler. I mean, again, dynamic player, very flashy, very capable of taking over your attention and being the most important guy. He was never the media darling that Jordan ended up being, because I think some part of that is by playing in Portland that kind of shut him out from some of the endorsement opportunities, or obviously he's not getting called to do, a cartoon or a Saturday Night Live or anything like that. So Clyde kind of lived in the shadow, and he still, I'm looking here, he did make they did win the NBA championship in 1995. So he's got that. He's a 10-time All-Star. He is in the Basketball Hall of Fame, and he's also in the College Basketball Hall of Fame, playing for the Houston Cougars. So
I was going to say, isn't he one of those rare people that went to Houston and then played later on, at some point played for Houston?
Yes. So, yeah, I mean, I think he was influential in a certain way as a college player, probably more at the beginning of the career than when he started off as a pro. I think there were a lot of people that were fascinated with him when he played for Houston, and were kind of salivating at the chance to see, because as you mentioned, this is where the Showtime Lakers are happening. There's some more up-tempo basketball that's being played, and Jordan benefited from it greatly, in addition to Clyde benefiting it, because flashier dunks, all the kind of the side business that goes with it. And I think to your point where you were talking about at the very beginning, this was a solid player through and through, who he didn't maintain and his teams didn't maintain the level of success. But he's still great, and I applaud you for mentioning him in this group.
By the way, if they draft, drafting Sam Bowie eventually led to them having to draft Kevin Duckworth.
Oh, so there you go. That's,
anytime you can have a guy named Duckworth on your team.
So
totally worth it.
Let me throw out another guy that's, I think, I've got a soft spot for him because he played for St. John's. And I think for a short period of time, maybe one of the best shooting, I guess you would say a small forward, but one of the best 3-point magnets at the time in the NBA, Chris Mullin.
also one of my favorite sports drinks is a Chris Mullin.
Yeah. So yes, he did have his issues off the court with alcohol. I think around this time, he's playing for the Golden State Warriors in 92. Had been a cornerstone for their team, although they weren't doing much as far as like challenging for, any playoff positioning or an NBA championship. Like he was, just basically like a building block. But he was also like I said, he could have been the heir apparent to Larry Bird. If he maybe kept himself a little bit more clean, a little bit more in shape, didn't do as much, damage off the court and create, headaches for himself and his family and his teammates. But yeah, that was, those were pivotal times for certain NBA guys too, like where they're building chemistry. He's got, who do you have on the team with him?
Run TMC, man.
Yeah, it's Hardaway and Mitch Richmond. So
it's a shame that Golden State isn't put on TV like now.
Yeah.
Because the rare occasions you got to see the Golden State Warriors, they were a fun team to watch.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah. And it's just, it's just kind of it's lost the time how good Mullin was coming out of college and how he's in the same classes as Ewing, right? Like they're all kind of out in 85. 85 was their last year, all their last years in college, right? Or was Ewing 84?
No, I think, because I think Ewing was draft class 85.
Okay. All right. But that's really like they reinvented college basketball for the East Coast and put it on the map and put it on MSG Network and ESPN and got a lot of people back interested.
Golden age of Big East basketball.
The biggest impact that he had with the Warriors is that he was the best guy on that team for probably the first 5 years, 5 or 6 years of being there, and then went to the Pacers and kind of puttered around and was still involved with coaching afterwards. So I give it up to my guy Mullin. He's a sentimental favorite for me.
Shocker that you would give it up for a St. John's alum.
I know it's really a super surprise, but I stand by my conviction on that.
So if we're going to talk Big East players, might as well keep it with somebody that you just mentioned. Got to go with number 33 from Georgetown, Patrick Ewing.
Big Pat. Yeah.
Single-handedly invented the "it's so hot in here, I'm sweating like Patrick Ewing" from the foul line.
Yeah.
Oof. That man could sweat.
Yeah. Sultan of sweat.
And I hate this. I thought he was like a kind of a borderline revolutionary player for centers. A lot of centers were basically under the basket type of guy. Like Ewing had a really good jump shot. Could shoot the ball very well for a big man. I think a lot of times there was, because of the situation with the Knicks, they hadn't won since 69 and 72, and then when the Knicks got the number 1 pick and they drafted Ewing, a lot of expectations on him.
Oh yeah.
And because they never won a championship, I think you kind of, I think it was one of those, a lot of times with Ewing, like when he was gone, then the Knicks fans really appreciated who he was as a player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But while he was on the team, it was always, well, he doesn't do this. He didn't do that. Why didn't they win it?
Can't hit a foul shot. Yeah.
Oh, he's not, Oakley is the real heart of the team. He's not the real heart of the team. Blah, blah, blah. the man was like, I mean, maybe besides Olajuwon and Robinson, probably the best big man in the game. He played defense. Yeah. Was he as well? This is going to come from a Celtic fan, but like, was he as dirty and as Oakley was? No.
Oh no.
But he was a really good defensive center.
Yeah. Yeah.
He wasn't getting lit up by so he had bad games against Olajuwon. He had bad games against Robinson. Like, those are just some of the best guys in the game. Like, it wasn't like he was getting his lunch fed by like Mark Eaton or, like
Uwe Blob wasn't dominating him.
It was, but it also wasn't like he was like, he was getting his own too, 89, 90, he averaged 28 points a game. I mean, he consistently averaged 20 points or higher for his entire run, except for the last year as a Knick. And that year he got hurt.
Yeah.
But they still made the NBA Finals, which go figure.
Yeah, go figure. Right.
I just think, I don't think, like I said, I'm not a Knick fan, but from an observer on the outside looking in, people did not appreciate him until the Knicks traded them, and then they did not have a big man, and the Knicks fell into this clunker for years. I think they went 15 or 20 years before they made the playoffs.
Yeah, I was going to say almost 2 decades of mediocrity or sub-mediocrity. All right, so Ewing comes in 85. He's the rookie of the year in 86. So he got drafted in 85. He's 86 season as a rookie of the year. Nobody had made an impact and again, they had great guys. They had Bernard King was like a fan favorite. They had here and there, they had guys that were like, hey, this is going to be our time to shine. Like, you've got a chance here to for the Knicks to build a really solid team. And it didn't really come together. It didn't come together immediately for the Knicks. That's for sure. It did take a little bit of time for it for them to make the right moves, to get Riley in there, to just sort of change the culture. But he was the cornerstone of it. I think there's an argument to be said that Patrick Ewing may be the greatest Knick of all time.
I wouldn't argue against it. He's obviously the best Knick that in my lifetime.
Yeah,
I never got to see, unfortunately, the Dave DeBusschere, Willis Reed years. Mm-hmm. But I mean, and plus, let's not remember his most prestigious of all awards and honors and everything that you can throw onto a man. He was on the cover of the first issue of the National.
Oh yeah, yeah. Frank DeFord.
It was like a picture of him with the New York skyline, and it said something like Ewing soars or something. I forget. It was something, but it was he was on the first. I had that for many years. I had the first issue of the National.
I would imagine if I cleaned out the garage at my sister's house now and dug deep, I'm sure it's probably in plastic, in an envelope somewhere. That first National
$1.50 maybe that you originally paid for it.
That's true. And then I would buy extra copies, and then when I got to school, I would sell those extra copies for $2 to the kids who got rides to school and that didn't take the bus, because they knew that my bus was stopping at Wawa and Red Bank before we went to Lincroft. So I would buy a couple extra copies and I would sell them to people that I knew for $2. Make a tidy 50-cent profit.
Look at you,
per issue sold for a little while. So
good thing the statute of limitations on that racketeering.
Price gouging at its finest.
Yeah.
So you mentioned when you mentioned Ewing, you also briefly touched on another guy, and I think a guy that I will always say is, in the history of the NBA, is criminally underrated, and that's the Admiral, David Robinson. He's a first overall pick in 1987. went to the Naval Academy, stellar career in college, comes to the NBA. Much like Mullen, he's on kind of a woesome San Antonio Spurs team that really isn't going anywhere and doing anything. So his first few years in the NBA are kind of stumbling blocks. 92, he had been an all-star kind of coming into the early part of the 90s. He starts to make the NBA first team, starts to get attention. He eventually becomes an NBA MVP in 95. There was, he's got a scoring championship within that time. Like, so I don't think that centers in the current modern day NBA get talked about at all in comparison to the way they were like romanticized. Like the big bodied centers and the guys that played the position with a lot more like agility and athleticism, all kind of started from, they were from those college programs, those hot college programs in the early to mid 80s. And for somebody like David Robinson to come out of the Naval Academy, who really didn't have a lot of accolades, but he played a solid, a solid 3 years or 4 years in the Naval Academy, to come into the NBA and to still be able to go toe to toe and not be winded or outclassed by guys like Bill Laimbeer or guys like, I guess Detlef Schrempf or Ewing yeah, right. And again, like I said, there's big athletic guys and Robinson was taller, a little bit lankier, but could hold his own with anybody and was an incredible defensive player. So I'm certainly giving him consideration as one of the greats, and especially this 92 time frame is really when you got to look at him and it was like, all right, well, David Robinson isn't like, he's not getting an NBA title anytime soon, but he's going to be a guy that a lot of people are talking about. And later in his career, and when San Antonio did start to invest and did start to draft and trade guys, all of a sudden he wins 2 NBA titles in 99 and 2003. So,
well, if you're looking at just pure numbers and stuff, you kind of have to take into consideration that he missed 2 years of the NBA because of Naval. Mm-hmm. He went to Naval Academy. I think he lost some time there because you have to serve or whatever.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Good point.
I don't know if they like suspended it or cut it short because of his.
That's right, because he got drafted in 87, didn't really start until the 89 year.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing was, so the 96-97 season, I believe he gets hurt. And the Spurs go into the toilet and end up with the number 1 pick. The number 1 pick end up being Tim Duncan.
Yes, right.
So Robinson was kind of asked to take, can you go, from being the man to now teaming up with Duncan, having a Twin Towers kind of situation, mm-hmm. and be a mentor for Mr. Fundamentals, Tim Duncan.
Right.
Of course, he still put up solid number, between 15 and 20 a game, but he wasn't the main focus. He wasn't, the number 1 option anymore. And it benefited him. He got to play more meaningful games. They get pop, and they have a better coach.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
He eventually retires, and the Spurs become like this model of how how you do it in the NBA, like how you build a team, it starts with, getting a guy like Duncan who sets the tone and, is the quiet superstar, and Pop can get in his face and yell at him, kind of like Belichick would do with Brady years later, mm-hmm. In football. But, but in that span, that, 6-7 year span where Robinson was the number 1 option on the Spurs, it was Mr. Robinson's neighborhood, man.
Sure was, yeah.
And again, he's in a small market. San Antonio, not exactly the hub capital of the world. But it, kind of like we were talking about Drexler later, earlier, being out in Portland, he wasn't, San Antonio sometimes wasn't exactly like the biggest draw, but because of Robinson, they got, I guess, their fill of some primetime games or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And eventually, once it was the second coming of the Twin Towers in Texas, this time a lot more successful than Ralph Sampson and Olajuwon in Houston.
Of course.
They got more attention because they began winning a lot more. So,
also,
yes, the Admiral, also, great nickname, and certainly deserves to be considered one of the best players. So.
Also, little known fact, kind of a sleeper fact, he did have a game on the Sega Genesis, David Robinson's Supreme Court, released in July of 1992 to anybody who wanted to check out his style of play.
What was the premise of that? Like Robinson would beat you in a game of 1-on-1 and then rule against you, like in a court hearing.
If if the defense won the case, you had to go 1-on-1 with David Robinson. If it lost, then you were able to have your whole team. So yeah, there you go. All right, who you got next?
You know what? I'm going to be a little bit of a hog here because I can't imagine picking one of these guys and not mentioning the other because they're pretty much at the hip.
Right.
Your main guys from the Utah Jazz, because when you think of jazz music, you think Utah. Smooth jazz, only in Utah. How many times did you hear Stockton to Malone?
Mm-hmm.
The pick and roll, they ran it ridiculous amount of times every game for over 10 years. You can't defend it unless you're Michael Jordan and the Bulls. Then somehow you figure it out. But everybody else couldn't figure out Stockton to Malone. One of the best point guards during that time where there was a lot of really good point guards. Stockton always held his own against whether it was Kevin there was a lot Kevin Johnson from the
Phoenix
Suns. You had Magic, you had later on, trying to think of some other point guard, I guess eventually Jason towards the end.
Jason Kidd.
Tim Hardaway.
Right.
I mean, there's some damn good. Isaiah Thomas and Dumars in Detroit.
Yep.
And Stockton always held his own, man. He was a solid 10 to 15 points a game and 10, 15 assists a game. So, and Karl Malone, another guy that, look, there's a lot of guys in the 80s and 90s because of Jordan or Magic and the Lakers, or even earlier, maybe like Bird and the Celtics, like that didn't get the ring. And that's always like the knock on Karl Malone was that he never won a championship. Played it in the wrong era.
Yeah, right.
Right. That does not mean that he was not he was one of the best power forwards in the game. Plus also one of the best truck drivers that the NBA has ever seen. If you like to watch the Inside the NBA, I think yearly they had to do a story when they were doing a Utah Jazz game about how Karl Malone owned like a trucking company, and he actually in the off season would do runs. He would. So if you're somebody who worked in the warehouse between like 85 and 95 and you swear to people that like, yeah, man, we got a delivery of like fireworks brought to us by Karl Malone. Like that guy ain't lying, man. It probably there's a pretty legitimate shot that like that guy didn't look like Karl Malone. That was Karl Malone.
Yeah,
like,
right. Rub your eyes again.
Like the furniture delivery came by Karl Malone in his souped up Lincoln Hawk 18-wheeler or whatever that he had. I'm like a truck. I turn my hat.
Yeah,
but he
turn
was
it
like,
backwards.
Malone would kind of get picked on because he was like, he would wear cowboy hats to, the pregame and stuff. And he kind of got a little picked on, but he was a hell of a player, man. And watching Stockton Malone was always enjoyable in my eyes.
So here's I'll give you John Stockton. I think you had mentioned briefly that he was an assist leader in the NBA. Assist leader 9 times.
9 times.
9 straight years he was the NBA assist leader, which is an incredible stat. In the College Basketball Hall of Fame as well. Played for Gonzaga. At a time when Gonzaga was not on the map for college hoops.
When nobody was picking Gonzaga as a bracket.
Yeah, way before they qualified for even their first NCAA tournament. But he's in the College Basketball Hall of Fame as well as the NBA Hall of Fame. And again, just sort of like kind of under the radar player until Malone got there, and then it was lights out. They're a synonymous team, and you're very right. Karl Malone, fun fact about him, does hold a victory in pro wrestling. Wrestled a main event match in WCW. It was himself and Diamond Dallas Page getting a victory over Hulk Hogan and Dennis Rodman. So
wow. So the one time he actually got he defeated.
Yes, it was booked. So, they toppled the NWO duo of Hogan and Rodman in that particular instance. There's a lot. See, I think the other cloud that hangs over Malone is, it came out like towards the end of the 90s. Like he had a few they weren't run-ins with the law, but there were paternity cases, and there was underage. Like he got an underage girl pregnant when he was I guess he was 17, and she was 13. So there's some stuff there that I'm sure he would like to shy away from, but let's ignore all the rest of that and realize that this was a dominant power forward within a time frame where. He's certainly, again, they have Mark Eaton on that team, but he certainly could have been a center in most other situations because he played like that. He played a big man style like that. He was a powerhouse underneath. He was he didn't mind throwing elbows with guys like Rodman or Lambeer or, Charles Oakley, whoever it was when push came to shove. But I do think there's that. The other cloud that hangs over his playing career is the fact that there's no NBA titles in his illustrious career. But he was certainly an impactful player, certainly earned himself an MVP on 2 occasions, 1997, 1999, and a 14-time All-Star through his career. So, hats off to the combination of Stockton and Malone as a lethal 1-2 punch when it came to early 90s hoops, for sure. So that'll bring me to my next guy, and it's still a colorful character in the game today, and still, relatively. I think the legacy of Charles Barkley is not just his playing career. I mean, most of us remember his incredibly intimidating physical style. For, kind of a chubby, undersized power forward. We just said that Malone could have been a center because he had a lot of height and a lot of length. Charles Barkley was 6'6", and he's playing power forward. And he's, again, another guy that was he was the centerpiece for the 76ers. It could be said that he was underrated, but I think out of his own mouth, he'll tell you that he might have been underrated because he deserved the same accolades that Jordan did. And he deserved the same accolades that Larry Bird did. And because he's braggadocious and he's literally a cartoon character. Just watch his stuff on the NBA pregame and now the NCAA pre and post game stuff. He's certainly has an opinion and he doesn't mind sharing it. But for a guy that was still like playing on pretty bad Sixers teams, or just Sixers teams that were surrounded by so many better teams, the Pistons, the Bulls, the Knicks, the Celtics, to that extent, Barkley is still the guy that you remember. Like if you mention like 90s basketball, somebody's going to say, oh yeah, you can't have it without Sir Charles. An incredible rebounder, a physical player, could, trash talk you till your eyes are blue, and really solid intimidation factor. The round mound of rebound for a reason. Ended up being the NBA Most Valuable Player in 1993. 11-time All-Star.
The Phoenix Suns.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, he moved around. But yeah, this was his this was his world. He was kind of an important guy within the NBA structure at that time. So I nominate Charles Barkley, and I would obviously, like, there's no bigger fan of Charles Barkley than Charles Barkley. So I'm sure he would celebrate this. And another dual college basketball Hall of Fame, NBA basketball Hall of Fame. So big props to Chuckster.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. That's my Charles Barkley right there.
Good Charles Barkley.
Guy had some really bad timing. Like, came to the Sixers at the end of when the Sixers were really good. He was there for the end of Dr. J and Moses Malone. I think Maurice Cheeks
Mo Cheeks was still there. Yeah.
Doug Collins, like all those guys were kind of on their way out. He gets drafted. Apparently did not want to go to the Sixers and ate heavily and gained weight to intentionally avoid being drafted by the Sixers, who said, screw it, we're going to pick you anyway. So hence the round mound of rebound. And then he goes to he finally gets out of Philadelphia, which eventually turns into not a very good basketball franchise.
Right.
He goes to the Phoenix Suns, who are on the rise at the time, and he finally does get to a final, and he's got to face Jordan and the Bulls during their heyday. So, an iconic player. Again, another one in the 80s and 90s that didn't win a title because of just the competition. Little internet research I found a little interesting. Once considered running as governor of Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's where he went to Auburn. I believe Auburn is in. Is that in?
It is. Yeah. That is in Alabama, right?
I always forget if Auburn's in Alabama or Mississippi, because to me those two states are the same.
Okay,
they're like the same state.
Apologies to our listeners in the Rust Belt, or I should say in Alabama and Mississippi.
Yeah, I'm very sorry.
Okay.
Here's Barkley has openly discussed his gambling addiction, admitting that he once lost $2.5 million in a single 6-hour period.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
He's bad at gambling too.
He's bad at golf.
Yeah. It was terrible. That's what's terrible about it.
You figure all the time you ever hear about like him talk about, I was on the, he golfs like you would think by now he'd be a good golfer with the amount of time, and he's still really
shit
bad.
Swing, just a shit swing.
I think is he another one of those guys that like when they do the celebrity one? Didn't he hit somebody in the shin or something on a tee box? Wasn't he another one of those guys?
Yeah.
Like hit a fan in the crowd just because he shanked it.
Yeah, right. It was like a high speed thwack in the the meaty part of the thigh or the
something. I thought he was
calf or ankle.
Because I know there was a more recent one. I think it was a football player or someone that did it last year. Like just completely shanked it and hit somebody like right in the face or something. But I thought Oakley I thought Barkley had done it earlier. Maybe I'm just perpetuating the fact that he's a really shitty golfer.
He's a shit golfer.
Hell of a basketball player.
Yeah.
Shitty golfer.
Yeah. And bad
at gambling.
I think he's got I think he's got his fans, and I think he there will be times, and there have been times over the last 2.5-3 weeks where I want to go, Charles is the smartest guy on that panel. And then there's other times where I'm like, somebody shut him the fuck up, because he's just when he gets to a point, he talks you to death about the point. So credit to a certain extent, but also all right, know when to push off and make some more notes and think about a couple other angles to come from Charlie.
I think those guys. I think him, Kenny Smith, and Shaq with Gus Johnson was good on the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
But because of I guess what they were getting paid, and who I say Gus Johnson, Ernie Johnson.
Yeah, Ernie Johnson. Yeah,
it's like Johnson. Ernie, Gus, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because of their salaries or whatever, they were forced to kind of do the NCAA tournament. Now they have to, because now they don't have the NBA, and you could kind of tell the first couple of years that they did the NCAA tournament, Charles was really struggling, because you could tell he just did not follow.
He didn't do the research. Game. Yeah. Well, he only followed certain teams. Yeah.
He's gotten better. The coverage, this year and last year, I think they have to give a little bit more focus now that they don't have the NBA. But you could just tell those guys were winging it during the NCAA tournament and was just focusing on the NBA and stuff. Well, that was their bread and butter. They knew those guys. They had a better, understanding in teams and stuff. When they were you might as well had me on the panel talking about NCAA tournament.
But I think there's credit that you'd have to give Barkley at that point, because he actually took the criticism and he realized, okay, people are giving me a hard time for not kind of phoning it in, not having enough homework done. Then it completely turned into, I'm going to come prepared. I'm going to talk to coaches. I'm going to do all of this extra prep work. I'm going to have my favorites, so on and so forth. So I think probably in the last 3 years, he's become much more adapt to it and much more sound than just being kind of the goofy, comic relief in the whole situation. So I'll give him a ton of credit for that. Like I said, sometimes I want to praise him as the best guy, and other times I'm like, where's the mute? I need a Chuck break. But we're not talking strictly about him as a commentator or a pundit. We're talking about him as a player, and I think we both vouch for his playing career being a little on the underrated and inconsistent side, but also still you got to give him props. Around that time, he's one of the more important guys in the NBA. Is there anybody else that you're thinking of?
Well, I mean, you really want to, do we want to go down the praising Bird, Magic, and Jordan?
No, I think they're, I think they were the intro to all this. They were the ones that were they're on the Mount Rushmore of NBA players from the 80s until the early 90s, for sure.
I mean, there's some borderline guys you could probably talk. I mean, Dominique had his moments, but I think were more in the 80s. I really hated the Pistons team, so I don't
Isaiah,
like talking about Isaiah or Rodman or
Lambeer, right?
I like to give some credit to my man Reggie Lewis, but unfortunately, doesn't last very much longer after 2 seasons.
Yeah, that's
kind of running out of.
You know what?
I feel it.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
I think it's important to just kind of have your eye on the future in this situation. What do you think of just because he had such an impactful 1992 as a member of the Duke Blue Devils and National Player of the Year in 1992. Let's give the last spot to Christian Laettner.
That sounds good. I mean, I'm not a big
scumbag.
Fan of Duke.
Yeah, it's a scumbag. But
I'm not a big fan of Duke. I hate to give any kind of praise or any. I mean, watching this weekend's NCAA tournament, I love watching Duke lose. It's a great thing.
Yeah,
just because they didn't do a lot of it in the '90s, but yeah, Laettner was a hell of a player at Duke. I think solid NBA player, but. My history is 92 the year of the shot.
It is. Yeah. They beat Kentucky with the buzzer beater.
Yeah, I mean, he's player of the year with the shot. I mean, that anytime the tournament runs around, that's replayed over and over. Anytime somebody hits the last minute, the other night when the kid from St. John's, they show that, and then of course, there's been other great buzzer beaters in NCAA, and then eventually it's just somebody's excuse to show the Laettner shot.
Right.
As much as I don't like Duke, you gotta kind of give it up to the guy.
Yes,
he was the player of the year. So,
and we mentioned this for a couple other guys. He is in the College Basketball Hall of Fame, not the NBA Hall of Fame because I don't think the NBA career, but. If you want to tell a story about where basketball was in 1992, at the height of its popularity and the height of like every single one of the other players that we talked about, I think Laettner should be in the conversation. He probably isn't like a major part of it, but he should be part of the conversation just because that year in college basketball everything ran through Duke. And they had won the championship the year before, but then came back to back, and won it in 92 again. So, you hate him. But in that time frame, he's undeniable. And there are people that were like, hey, this changes the narrative. He's going to get drafted. He's obviously, highly touted. And did he end up going?
He went to the Timberwolves.
Yeah. But like he didn't. Oh no, he was a 3rd overall pick. He wasn't a 1st overall pick. But he went to the Timberwolves and then bounced around the league, bunch of teams. But guy had a dream and he got to play. So
if I'm recapping this right, Jordan,
right,
Magic,
okay,
Bird, your man Barkley.
Mark.
David Robinson, the Admiral David Robinson, I should.
Yes.
Scottie Pippen.
Right. Yep.
Chris Mullin. Malone. Stockton. Ewing. Drexler. And we're going to give the last spot to Laettner.
Yeah. I think it's a solid crew.
If there's one, I know they're not in the same league, but if there's one team that I couldn't stand more than the Duke Blue Devils, it was the 80s Detroit Pistons. If Isaiah Thomas did not play on the 80s Detroit Pistons, I probably would have put him on the team. But yeah, you got to give Laettner he was the player of the year in college in 92. So
hard to argue.
It's a good team there.
It is. It is.
Beat.
It's a listen. It's a valuable bunch of guys. And if we're basing this mostly off of the rosters from the All-Star game, East and West, and then you add the National Player of the Year at the collegiate level, you'd almost want to call it a dream team.
It's a cool name.
Yeah, right.
They should play in like some sort of global like tournament.
There were Olympics in 92, right?
Yeah, but they didn't send pros those years.
Oh, okay.
They don't send college players.
Huh. Well, then Laettner makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, imagine if they had. Barcelona would have been overwhelmed.
They would have blew teams out by like 50 points and won the gold medal easily. And
guaranteed ratings and guaranteed like a hero's welcome. And I think people would be using it sort of as a template to measure up whether they're basketball players, whether they're, music groups, whether they're actors, a collection of the actors' movies. Like, you'd imagine that there would be it's a pretty good like comparison to anything else through pop culture, is the impact of a team like that would have made.
The possibilities are endless.
Yeah. It's too bad they never played together. All right. Well, that's it. Yeah, that's 1992 NBA in a nutshell. I know I had fun. Captain, did you have fun doing that episode?
Anytime we get to talk about my favorite era of NBA basketball, 80s into 90s. Now I want to go. I want to go to the arcade and play some NBA Jam.
NBA Jam, yeah. Well, I used that as the intro because that was timely. NBA Jam. Maybe I'll find I'll edit in the theme song to Bulls versus Blazers, which came out on the on the consoles in 1992.
He's heating up. Boom shakalaka.
So that's the episode. We hope everybody enjoyed that walk down, or that we're gonna call it a travel down memory lane for you.
Oh,
right.
You took too many steps.
Took too many steps, but yeah, it's great reliving those the last glorious time frame, I think, in our memory for childhood memories for the NBA. So there you go. Enjoy that and try and find your combination of players that you would put on a hypothetical dream team, as they say. So for the captain, Michael Corby, this is Mike Madden. We hope you guys have a great night, and we will check you later.
Happy April 1st.